I think religion's greatest trick wasn't convincing some people that there was a God who was all-powerful. It was convincing everyone else that you couldn't ridicule that idea. I think there'd be more atheists and less faithful if you weren't allowed to teach anything, you weren't allowed to mention any gods or any beliefs or atheism, right, until they were 20. I think we'd see a different pattern. The human brain, when it's young, is a sponge. It has to be. It has to take in all the information. It has to trust its parents, its elders, to survive. Without question, don't touch the fire. Why not? Don't go near the wolf. Don't touch that spider with a red bit. Don't touch that. Why not? Just don't. There is a God. What? There is a God. And if you're bad, you go to hell. Okay? And if that's constantly confirmed, like all the other things, wolves eat you, black widows kill you, fires burn you, if it's given that same level of credence and truth, you're never going to get over it. It's going to be a lot harder to undo that. We're all born atheist, you know, and then that gets changed or enhanced. I mean, there shouldn't even be a word for atheism. It shouldn't exist. Shouldn't need it. There's not a word for not believing in fairies, you know? And if people didn't keep inventing these weird, impossible deities, we wouldn't have to go around denying them. Thinking there's someone hearing you and changing stuff, that's something else. But again, it's still not harmful. But if you start doing crazy stuff because God's telling you to, that affects me. I've got to stop you there. People say, well, you're an atheist, you know, you're closed-minded. Well, no, I'm not. You know, that's a strange thing to say. I think the opposite is true. I'm going to always follow the evidence, whatever that is. And they say things like, if someone proved to you God existed, would you believe? Well, of course I would, by definition. In fact, it would be the greatest scientific discovery of all time. Scientists would celebrate. They'd run round. At the moment, we have no evidence for the existence of any God or anything supernatural. Never have. Possibly never will. But who knows? I get asked questions like, you know, well, what do you think it feels like when you're dead? And I always say, well, what did it feel like for the billions of years before you were born? You believe in one God, I assume?
In three persons, but go ahead.
Okay, so you believe... Okay. So, but there are about 3,000 to choose from that have been, you know, people who believe in...
I've done some reading, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically, you believe in... You deny one less God than I do. You don't believe in 2,999 gods, and I don't believe in just one more.
Right.
If we take something like any fiction, in any holy book, in any other fiction, and destroyed it, okay, in 1,000 years' time, that wouldn't come back just as it was. Yes. Whereas if we took every science book, right, and every fact, and destroyed them all, in 1,000 years, they'd all be back, because all the same tests would be the same result.
That's good. That's really good.
Someone said on Twitter once to me, why don't you pray just in case there's a God? And I said, why don't you put garlic over your door just in case there's a Dracula? If we evolved from apes, why are there still apes around? I used to say things like, well, if God made man from dust, why is there still dust around? And things like, you know. But now I say, well, we didn't evolve from modern apes, we evolved with modern apes from a common ancestor, rather like... And I just answer it deadly serious, like they, you know, it doesn't help. Then someone followed it up with, well, I've been going to the same zoo for 24 years and I haven't seen one monkey turn into a person. Most nice people who believe in God, they can tell the difference. They know the nice bits, they cherry pick and they know the nice bits from the bad bits. They don't do the bad bits. And my point is, if you know the bad bits from the good bits, you don't need the holy book. You know, you're already a moral person.
My big problems with much of organized religion, but one is this notion that you don't want your kids to know how the world really works for fear that they'll lose their faith.
because they think that losing their faith is that you won't go to heaven if you don't believe. So they think they're doing a good thing.
Yeah, they
I'm
think-
saving
yeah,
my child
yeah.
from hell.
Yeah.
I've said before, my mum was, she was mildly religious. Again, C of E religious.
yeah.
Go to church, and you're a good person. You're a respectable person. And usually, for a working class mum, Jesus is an unpaid babysitter.
Yeah.
If I can't watch you, he can. And you take that for a while, and it's fine. And I don't think it's particularly harmful outside academia. But then you realise that it's just not true. Even if you look at the stats of religious people in prisons to atheists, but it doesn't add up. And morality predates all religion. We got on before we had to make the rules.